Hi everyone, welcome to 2025 and welcome to the first episode of Sharon's Faith Corner. I'm going to be celebrating 36 years of sobriety next month, God willing, and so I've seen a lot of miracles, and where we are dealing with a lot of things around us that doesn't always give us hope, can feel gloomy sometimes, especially in a world where we have a lot of overdoses, things like that. I really felt compelled to share some experiences that might give people a little hope, a little faith. I only have my experiences, and I really have felt compelled that I need to share them with all of you. So I'm going to go ahead and share the first one, and then I should be doing a video a week hereafter. And so here we go. Step 2 of AA is come to believe in a power greater than yourself. And so a lot of us, when we get sober, the God that we know and understand is really the one that we're praying to help us to get out of trouble. And I had a wonderful sponsor. She died with 60 years sobriety, but at step 2, she really put me to work. She said, you need to pick a service project where you're going to be serving for at least 4 hours. And I said, why are we doing that? And she said, well, you'll see at the end of the 4 hours. And anyway, just so you know, I have done that with every single person I've worked with on the steps since then. And a lot of them have had the same experience or a beautiful experience like I did by doing this step. So here's my experience of step 2, but really you hope that by the end of doing that service work that you're experiencing a God that is more than just the, oh crap, God, get me out of trouble. But hopefully you start realizing that God loves you unconditionally and that also you're part of God's helping hands on earth. And so this whole episode is dedicated to the people who work in care centers, who give of their time and efforts. I don't think that people in care centers get enough credit. My mom worked in a care center for a long time and showed us at an early age the importance that people are not mentally retarded, that these aren't crazy people, but they have names. And so I was really grateful for that experience from my mom. So here we go. When I got sober again, my sponsor had me do some service work. And so one of the things that she wanted me to do was pick this 4 hours assignment. And so what I did is I chose to go do 4 hours at my grandpa's nursing home. Now, my mother had taken me to that nursing home at Mill Creek Care Center we went as kids, we visited my grandpa, but my experiences up to that point had been of him really just sitting and drooling, not a whole lot of interaction. And so anyway, but when my sponsor wanted me to do those 4 hours, I guess in my head, that 15-year-old brain, I've been sober since I was a month away from my 15th birthday. And so when she's having me do this, I was just thinking about how I could do this the easiest way. And so what I chose to do was do an hour a week. So anyway, I thought, well, what could hurt to sit with him for an hour? He's just drooling. And so anyway, I went the first time, and it was the first time I went to this care center without my mother. And anyway, the experience was very different going by myself. The people at the care center, it made the place smelt. The elderly people felt more like zombies than people at the moment. And I did find my grandpa. He was sitting at the dining room table, and true to what I've experienced with them so far, he was sitting there drooling with his head down. And I sat with him, but really not a whole lot of interaction. And I was very uncomfortable. And I was watching the clock for that hour to be over. And I left 5 minutes early thinking good enough. And so I got home, I called my sponsor, I said to her, I can't go back to this care center. This is too uncomfortable. And she said, yes, you will go back. You promised me 4 hours. If you want me to work with you, you need to do this. So I went back the following week, and I stayed for an hour and 5 minutes because she made me make up that additional 5 minutes that I left early. And the experience was very much the same and very uncomfortable. And once again, I called her saying, I don't know what I'm getting out of this, but why am I going? And she said, you need to go back. You got two more hours, 2 more weeks. And so I went the third week, and I sat with him for about 45 minutes. And at the 45-minute mark, he lifted up his head, and he said, hi, darling. And it freaked me out a little bit because I didn't really remember him speaking a whole lot. And so it was like, it caught me off guard. Like, oh my gosh, he speaks. Anyway, we had a little short visit, but I went home freaked out. Him speaking really defeated the purpose of the Easy A, because now I needed to talk to him, and it was just kind of crazy for me at the time. And so anyway, she laughed and she said, you have 1 more week. And so I went back that last week, and anyway, my grandpa was standing at the door, and he said, hi, darling. And it was kind of neat to me because he just never knew when I was coming. And so it was just neat to see him standing. And anyway, I just know that when he hugged me that day, that I felt something I hadn't felt in my whole life. And that was just this beautiful form of unconditional love, and uncomplicated. Like, it was just pure from the heart. And so anyway, we visited the whole hour, and what was supposed to be 4 hours ended up being 15 wonderful years. I used to go there 3 times a week when he was alive. And those elderly people that originally seemed like zombies, I got to know them. There's George, Maria, Klaus, Jordan, Sandy. Sandy was an officer who had been shot in the line of duty. Klaus was a Holocaust survivor, and George and Maria were brother and sister. And Jordan, he always had the boom box. And so whenever I'd go to visit my grandpa, I was so excited. I would go to that care center 3 times, like I said, 3 times a week for the longest time. And whenever I'd get there, I'd bring $20 to buy each of them a drink. And then I was smoking at the time, so I'd bring in a carton of cigarettes. And so even the people who worked at the care center said, you know how to clear out a care center. But we would go downstairs, and Jordan would bring the boom box, and we would dance. And all the clients or the residents there, they were drinking sodas, and my grandpa and I were smoking cigarettes and dancing. And anyway, in the course of these years, I learned their stories, who they were, and more importantly, felt unconditional love in a way that that really saved me in early recovery. I had 15 wonderful years with my grandpa before he passed away, and also with all those residents at Mill Creek Care Center. I learned that my grandpa was a 300 bowler. I learned about his life. He had a twin brother, my Uncle Arnold, and they used to joke about who was better looking one. And then also one day I sat with the piano at the care center with my grandpa, thinking that we were going to pretend play. But what I learned that day is my grandpa could actually play. He learned by ear, and he really could rock the house. And I just loved every moment with him, and I miss him very much. But I could see why my sponsor had me do that assignment, and that is that God is more than just the oh crap God, that he really is an unconditional loving God. And he answered my prayers and showed me unconditional love in a care center called Mill Creek Care Center. And for that, I'm thankful. And I'm grateful for every moment I had with my grandfather and the residents at that care center that really loved me in early recovery. And I still try to go to care centers today and visit people. Also, my aunt just passed away, and she was at Alpine Care Center in Pleasant Grove. And when she passed away in May, it was really touching because 9 of the staff members from that care center came to her funeral. And, you can't you can't underestimate the power of the people who work in those facilities. So, from my heart to all of you who work in a care center, thank you. Anyway, I'm also excited to just let you know that as it's kind of interesting when I watch these podcasts or broadcasts, everybody has a sponsor. It seems like they're sponsoring some products. And where I am in recovery, I like to also do shout outs for people who have comeback stories. And so, anyway, today I'll be happy to mention that Sims Motorcycle Monkeys, they are my sponsor for this whole program. Anyway, wearing their hoodie here. It's really hard to show you the back of the hoodie, but if you've not used that motorcycle shop, they're wonderful. They have an awesome redemption story. They've been sober over 10 years, and they do a lot in the recovery community. And so check out their motorcycle shop. They just got Best in Salt Lake County. And they do sales, storage, repairs, and it's just a really neat place to be if you haven't been there. So again, that's Sims Motorcycle Monkeys. And anyway, yes, one of the owners is my cousin Robin, who I love, and her husband Matthew, that are so great. But really, go check them out. All right, well, anyway, I hope you have a happy new year. And if you want to hear about different topics, please go ahead and send me a message. With that, I love you all, and I hope that this story was helpful for somebody. All right, love you. See you next week.